Oh, Bruce, why did you have to leave us? Bruce, why won't you leave, Bruce? Come on, Bruce, we've been mates for years. We've been through so much together, Bruce. I can't believe you've done this to me, Bruce. Bruce, come back. Well, here's a car none of us know nothing about, despite it being one of the most important cars I've ever owned. This is a 2003 BA Falcon Ute. It is just the most Aussie shape of car you can get. You Holden boys think you had the most Aussie cars? Nah, mate. This is the one right here. Commodores were just GM throw-togethers over the years, but mate, the Falcons were pure Aussie goodness. The Barra 6, one of the best straight sixes ever made. Oh, shut up, you crappy airplanes. I can't wait to be done with you. Please try to ignore the planes. I've been dealing with them for over a year. This is such an important car to me because in 2019, my crappy little Holden Barina blew up on the highway, and one of my mentors, proper old mate of mine now, just threw me the keys to this thing and said, pay me back whenever. My first ever Google Pay was to pay off this guy. Literally, this is what let me just keep working, and like, it would have wiped me off the planet. I had no money in my pocket at all, and all of a sudden I lost my car to get to my work. But this isn't the only car I've had. My other car has been this thing. Look at the mess from the Nicky. Shut up! This has been my daily car for the most part this whole time, and I mean it. Like 1984, it's got aircon, and it's completely worn out. It was a rescue out of a barn. It hadn't been run in 10 years. I mean, look in the back. This guy has been doing work for me. Yeah. Yeah, it looks abandoned. It's not. This is because I used it so much. Man, so many coffees were put in these cup holders. And I've literally worn the seat out. I've worn out the armrest. So whenever you're driving Nuggets, of course you can daily drive your Nugget. I've done that for years. It's hard work, and it's always good to have a Nugget Shepherd, as I call it. Just a reliable, fuel-injected thing that you can hop into the day that your stinking Nugget doesn't work. This thing starts, runs, goes, but I need to stop driving it. This has been the nicest driving car I've ever owned, and I mean it. And I didn't want a new car at all because of how good this thing was. It still drives like a dream. Gosh, that Barra 6 is good. And one of the last things it did for me not that long ago is I drove it to Melbourne and back in a single day, 16 hours on the road, to bring home an 80s drum kit that I rescued. Because I mean, look at the size of this tray back here. Like, it's got a bigger tray than a Ford Ranger. But then my favorite bit about these old utes, right? It's like a family sedan with a ute tray. So like doing big road trips, it's so comfortable. And because you just live in this little cab space, you can see it's actually divided because that's so you can have different trays put on the back. Look at this glorious mid-thousands interior. Look at this information console. Sitting in this little padded cabin, it is so quiet. I'm telling you, this was the nicest car I ever owned. And it's got the big paint match canopy on it. Oh, it's still full of crap. Shut up! But here's the problem. LPG. Hank Hill would be proud because this car technically runs on propane. Yep, that was an Aussie thing. I mean, check out this for a fuel filler. Go on, mate, try and steal my petrol. Oh, you got a jerry can, do you? LPG is fantastic. It's like 110 octane. You don't need a fuel pump. It's the pressurized tank that feeds the engine. And this is factory LPG. It came from the factory with it. Australia was all in on LPG. But the problem is, because of hybrid cars, taxis aren't using LPG anymore. All the taxi ranks used to use LPG. And now that they're not using it anymore, it's actually getting really hard to find. Yeah, I'll pull up to a service station and the LPG price is blanked out. They're not selling LPG. Great, those planes! When I was doing that big 16-hour road trip, I was in a bit of a spot when I'd actually pull up to a petrol station and they had no fuel for me. But that's not the reason why she's dead, mate. The reason why she's dead is because she's dead. Ooh. Come on, Bobby. Nope. Ooh. It's had a niggling ignition issue for a while where it would start, stall, start, stall, start, and then it will work. But now it is shuddering. It's amazing. I literally completed that 16-hour road trip. It's got new tires. I had the LPG system fixed, everything. And it drove so good. I was like, man, this is a forever car. And then literally on the drive here, after that road trip, she decided to kick the bucket. It's actually the most amazing breakdown I've ever had. I mean, it got here. It got to safety. I'm in a position now where like I can't afford to get another car. I have actually bought my first ever modern car. I mean, right? What's going to happen to Bruce? Well, it's worth nothing, right? It's worth scrap money because it's on LPG and it doesn't run properly. So she's going to be put away for a special day that I finally feel like, oh no, building a Barra 6 for some performance whatevers. But we have to convert it to petrol and then we have to find the ignition for... So a lot of you guys are going to get really excited at the mobilio that I've purchased. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yep. I bought a Holden. I was just slagging off how like the Commodores were just GM throw-togethers, but you know, the VEVFs, man, they were the most Aussie of the commos, and I gotta tell you, I think these are the best looking utes ever made. They nailed it. This is an SV6. No, it's not an 8. I don't want to pay what the V8s are worth. I bought this off of someone I knew, like a good friend of mine, and he let me have it for like a proper price, not a collectible price, but a used car price. I've never had a car this new before, even though it is technically 9 years old. V6. Man, 0 to 100 in like 6 seconds. This thing goes hard. Limited slip diff, no canopy though. Canopy is dorky, but gosh, it does work good. But man, this thing drives like a 2-door sports car that you can bring big bucket loads of rubbish home in. Again, it's the same thing. You live in this little cab. I mean, Ford Rangers don't have a tray that big. This car is actually stinking huge. They nailed the interior. I can't believe this is nearly a 10-year-old car. The center display, like the whole smart business, whatever, is awful. And it's all pure GM. All the electronic gubbins in this thing are garbage. Electronic handbrake, terrible. The Bluetooth headset, terrible. It actually has self-parking. You know, like you can put it up and it'll do it for... I don't use it. All the parking sensors are annoying. I actually hate all the electronic gubbins in it. But it is a beautiful, beautiful driving car. Like, absolute swan song for Holden. You know, GM should have just let Holden keep going. Twin exhaust because of that sporty boy business. And I've lovingly named this one Bruce 2. It's Bruce 2. It's the sequel to Bruce. Because, yeah, you need to have a Nugget Shepherd and these proper Aussie utes where it's actually like a regular family car with a tray on the back. It is so comfortable for doing parts runs and things. Shut up! You gotta have a Nugget Shepherd. You gotta have something reliable. You turn the key and you can go. And then on top of that, this thing is such a collectible. I mean, it's the end of the road for Holden. I was such a Holden boy until I owned some, but this is the nicest Holden I've ever owned, even if the V6 in the front is pretty uninspiring. It doesn't sound good. You probably won't see this guy. This is the Shepherd. I don't have any mods planned. You know, it drives great. I'm not gonna mess with it. And I just wanted to say, you know, thank you so much for watching and supporting all my content, because that's how I've managed to afford something like this. So, thanks. Sadness, Bruce, sadness. We're gonna miss you, mate.